And Jake, during the open, we talked about the crowd, about as full as you can get here. They seat about 1,000 here.
Nice cozy gymnasium here, Doug.
Yep.
Certainly not many seats available. I'd say we have standing room only. More than capacity here tonight. No score yet in the first period. Updike and Al kind of filling each other out.
In a matchup between two freshmen, and talking to the coaches, these first four could make or break this matchup, and this is one that both coaches have said that they feel just about even that they can win. Updike at 6-13, Al at 4-10. You could take a coin and flip it for probably 8 or maybe 9 of these first 14 weight classes.
Close to the first takedown here, Doug. Al scores the first takedown on Updike. You're right, Doug. Every bout here is going to be a critical bout in the dual meet.
The Terriers at 13-3. Their 3 losses this season to Parkland, a match you saw here on TV2, South Plainfield, and Hunter and Central. They're ranked first in Central Jersey Group 2 in their section, and ranked only second statewide behind Kittatinny in Group 2.
I was trying to work a cradle here, tried to go far elbow trap, and the first period ends. 2-0 lead, Al over Updike. Here we're going to see the takedown. In on a single is Robert Al. Knocks Updike down, comes around, gets his right arm around the waist, and gets control right here. There we saw the first takedown. Second period starts with Updike on the bottom. Tries to sit and turn. Tries to hit a switch. Robert Al maintains control. Updike close to a reversal. Control still goes to Phillipsburg here. Good no call by the official, Steve Hockman. Robert Al tried to put in a far half Nelson to maintain control. Updike tried to gain a reversal, not able to get the reversal. Al trying to tuck the head underneath to get back points, not able to do that. Maintains control. Roll attempt by Updike. Rolls right into a half Nelson by Robert Al. No back points awarded. Potentially dangerous indicated by the official. Our working official is Steve Hockman from New Jersey, also works in Pennsylvania. He's assisted tonight by Dominic Pettinelli. Here we see him do a little roll, and he rolls right into a half Nelson there. You see Robert Al had a half Nelson in deep on Updike. Updike was able to fight off his back.
The State Liners come in 11-4. Have lost the last 2 straight to Easton and Absegami. They also lost to Hunter and Central and Kittatinny. Phillipsburg getting ready for that big matchup on Saturday against Paulsboro, one of the top-ranked teams in the state of New Jersey.
Coming down less than 30 seconds left in the second period. Score is still 2-0. Robert Al leading. Very close bout, and as you said, a critical matchup, Doug. Less than 10 seconds. Robert Al is going to ride out John Updike for the entire second period. Updike was close to getting a reversal, but not able to convert the reversal, and Updike maintains control for the entire period. Third period choice is going to go to Phillipsburg. Robert Al is going to take the bottom position.
Phillipsburg coached by Greg Troxel, now in his second season, 27-8. The Terriers of Del Val. The head coach, Paul Petro Jr., in his 5th year here at Del Val, 58-31.
Robert Al stands, turns in, takes the leg of Updike. Tries to work a low leg cradle, does gain a reversal. May have a cradle locked up here. No, he doesn't. Trying to work off the low leg. Al leads 4-0.
Phillipsburg.
I'm sorry, Doug. Go ahead.
With Phillipsburg getting ready for that sectional battle next week. They're ranked first in North Jersey Section 2. They're ranked third behind Absegami and Brick in Group 4. We'll see only one of those two in the finals. Talking to Greg Troxel, feels like he can get out of the sectional. Randolph is their main competition in the sectional. As for Del Valle, it's Voorhees. But these two teams hope to be involved in the group championships next Saturday.
Robert Al cuts John Updike loose with a minute left in the third period. Leads 4-1. Hits a single leg with the head outside. Going to change off to a double here. Changes to a double. Close to getting the takedown. Steve Hockman indicates we're neutral. Robert Al laces the leg. Close to control. Locks his hands around the waist. Steve Hockman indicates a stalemate is going to start them neutral. Close to control there, not quite enough control in the estimation of the official. 30 seconds remain in the bout. Al again in on the single leg. Blocked off by Updike. Al loses his headgear. We're going to restart with 13 and a half seconds remaining. I think Robert Al would have been content to wrestle the last 13 and a half seconds without his headgear and staying on that leg that he had. Time's going to run out. P-Berg's going to get a 3-point decision here. Robert Al, a 4-1 victor over John Updike of Del Valle.
So in the first pivotal matchup of the night, the State Liners, in a battle of freshmen, come out on top. 14 weight classes, don't forget tonight, fans. As opposed to the standard 13 we see in PA, 215-pound weight class. We'll see which team it benefits. We move to 112. And for Del Valle, they're going to send out freshman Ricky Kurtz. Kurtz is 12-10, and he will take on a junior. For the State Liners, Trevor Duddy, who's 11-9. Kurtz for Del Valle, Duddy for Phillipsburg.
Duddy was just a little better than a 500 record, but he's certainly a tough competitor for P-Berg. He's got to be the best 11-9 record on the P-Berg team.
Well, Duddy was a junior, district champion last season for the State Liners, finishing 15-10. He won this year's 100 and Warren tournament, placed fourth in the Brick Memorial tournament. Has placed twice now in the 100 and Warren Classic, second and first. Career record for Duddy of Phillipsburg of 30-19.
Duddy scores a takedown on a single leg. Brings Kurtz back. They go out of bounds. Duddy leading Ricky Kurtz 2-0. Here we see it, a single leg with his head outside. He's able to change off and gain control right on the edge of the circle.
Kurtz, a freshman at 12-10, placed third in this year's John Goles tournament at Warren Hills. Del Valle participated in the 100 and Warren tournament and the John Goles tournament this season.
These fans from Del Valle want to make sure they get home and watch it on the replay at 9:30, Doug. They started the meet tonight at 7 o'clock.
I'll tell you what, for some of the people that talked to me, they were excited that we were here tonight.
Reversal for Kurtz ties the match at 2-2 with a minute remaining in the first period.
And Jake, no official name to this gym, but you overlook the Vince Spitz wrestling room. Some legendary coaches here. Jody Karam followed Vince, Jeff Karam followed Jody, and Paul Petro takes over the program now in his 5th year.
Vinny Fitz was a legend here at Del Valle. In fact, he wrestled at 100 and Central with some outstanding wrestlers for Coach Roy Riegel years ago. Went to Penn State and had a stellar career as a standout wrestler at Penn State, did Vince Fitz.
Vince's son Andy went here, graduated from Lehigh.
And as you mentioned, both the Karam brothers had stints here as wrestling coaches.
The last time Del Valle defeated P-Berg in '93, Jody Karam, the head coach.
That must have been his last year here before he went to Liberty.
Yep, they went to the group finals, lost to Mike Rossetti's Jefferson team in the group finals. Controversial finish for that one.
Duddy's getting turned with a bar, Doug. Kurtz put in a tough bar. Time's going to run out before there's back points awarded. Choice goes to Kurtz. He defers to Duddy. Duddy, I think, is going to take neutral. Doesn't want to get turned again from the bottom position.
We'll see if I bring good luck to Del Valle. The last time I was in this gym was '93 when they beat Phillipsburg.
What year did you graduate, Doug?
85.
85, okay.
Lee Hall, one of the assistants for Paul Petro, graduated with me in '85, was a heavyweight. Started at heavyweight the last 2 seasons of his career. And he was involved in one of the teams that won actually the last team that won a state championship for Vince Fitz in '84 as a junior.
Some great tradition here with Del Valle and Phillipsburg as well. 2 great wrestling programs in New Jersey.
Greg Troxel, a 2-time state champion for the State Liners in '89 and '90. Assistant coach Kevin Kane was a state champion in '90.
Score's still tied 2-2. Kurt's trying to turn a corner and get a takedown on Duddy. Close to getting control here. Duddy's able to ward off the takedown. Their control is given by referee Steve Hoffman. They got a bounce. Kurtz leads 4-2. Duddy's asking for injury time. Here we're going to see he's going to get enough control for the takedown. You see what's preventing control is Duddy's right arm locked around the leg of Kurtz. There are controls given. Referee doesn't feel there's restraint with that arm.
We'll talk about the groups and sectionals coming up next week. Phillipsburg goes into the sectionals having won 6 straight group championships. That's Group 3 and Group 4. This year, though, they're beatable. According to Jersey, they come in ranked 3rd behind Brick and Absegami in Group 4. Del Valle is 2nd behind Kittatinny in Group 2, a team that beat Phillipsburg earlier this season. Hunterdon and Central, one of the Group 4 powers, defeated Kittatinny this season. So maybe for the first time in a handful of years, that Group 4 in Jersey is up for grabs with what is considered a down year for the State Liners.
Seems like a lot of very competitive teams in that section or in that group.
Randolph is there. You know, you're starting this. Absegami participates in the Beast. I believe they're out here for the Hurricane. They're starting to get that, shall we say, Pennsylvania mentality, wrestle the best and get better. And I think you're starting to see some of the Jersey teams. Del Valle took on Parkland this year. Phillipsburg wrestled Freedom, and of course Northampton and Easton they see Nazareth. I think you're starting to see some of those teams now trying to venture over and try to get a little bit better.
Yeah, they were at the Beast, Doug. I think they wrestled in the Easton Phillipsburg duels, not at the Hurricane tournament, but the Easton Phillipsburg duels we saw. So they certainly have a tough program in Absegami. A lot of up-and-coming tough teams in the state of New Jersey.
Well, I know Randolph participated in the Easton Phillipsburg duels as well.
1 minute left in the second period. Duddy gains a neutral. Score is 4-3. Kurtz leads. Duddy takes a shot. They go out of bounds.
Again, Coach Troxel felt that not that he needed to, but would feel much more comfortable if they can sweep the first 4. He said that middle area from 130 up to 171 where Dale Rissmiller is, or actually 160, not 171, they need to win at least 1 of 6. He said the match will be won or lost in that middle section.
Tell you what, I don't know if he's going to sweep those first 4, Doug. That's going to be a tough road to hoe. Trevor Duddy close to a takedown here off of Kurtz's shot. He does get control. Takes a 5-4 lead. 30 seconds remain in the second period. Kurtz wants to score with time in this period. Referee may stalemate this. Stalemate indicated. Trevor Duddy looks like he's low on petrol. And Kurtz is still breathing through his nose. It doesn't look like he's using much oxygen at all, Ricky Kurtz. Duddy locks on the leg. Kurtz tries to hit an inside switch. Using up a lot of the clock here. Down to 10 seconds remaining. Duddy locked around the leg, maintains control. Coaches from Del Valle are telling Kurtz to sprawl out of that, not able to before the buzzer. Kurtz is going to choose the bottom. Duddy leads 5-4. Looks like Duddy may want injury time again. This time I think it's for bleeding. It's not going to factor into the injury time. Trevor Duddy with a bloody nose.
Up next in 119, Keith Marcus for Del Valle and Dan Buss for Phillipsburg. Buss is 12-9, Marcus 13-8. We talk about these matchups tonight. Should be awfully exciting record-wise. Greg Troxel did say beforehand, though, he did feel that with the competition they've seen this season, that should be an advantage. This is a hostile environment for them, but they're used to that as well.
I agree with that. I think Phillipsburg's had a tougher schedule, but sometimes you can throw the records away in some of these rivalry such as Del Val and Phillipsburg that goes way back. I'm sure the kids from Del Val are certainly up and would like to knock off the State Liners of Phillipsburg in their own gym here tonight. Here we see Bobby Weaver, Olympic gold medal winner. Bob Weaver teaches at Phillipsburg High School and coaches wrestling with Greg Troxel. Easton Red Rover Bobby Weaver went to Lehigh University. Third period is going to start with Kurtz on the bottom. Kurtz again tries the inside switch. Steady rides with a tight waist. Tries to work an inside wrist. Steady riding tough on top. Stalemate indicated. Kurtz has to gain a neutral here to tie the bout. Steady looking for blood out of his nose. Shows blood on his hands to the official, Steve Hockman. He goes back on to blood time. Injury time again, 1 minute and 30 seconds in high school. Time for bleeding, 5 minutes cumulative. You can have as many stops as you can get to stop the bleeding within a 5-minute time frame. Injury time, 1 minute and 30 seconds. You only are allowed 3 stops. On the third stop, you would actually lose. At the second stop for injury, you would lose choice.
You see Greg Troxel there in the white shirt, Kevin Kane in the blue. Back-to-back state championships for Phillipsburg in 1990. Troxel at heavyweight, Kane at 189. And Greg Troxel was a freshman when Jamie Wicks, who was one of the legendary wrestlers that come out of Del Val, was a junior. And believe it or not, Greg, it's actually Jamie was a junior, Greg was a freshman. Those two guys had some battles for a handful of years.
With 1 minute and 33 seconds remaining in the third period, Kurtz is down 5-4. Duddy leads. Kurtz will start from the bottom position. Kurtz stands off a tripod. Duddy drops down on the leg. He's going to stand with the leg and pick it up high in front. They go out of bounds, no change of control. Kurtz tries an inside switch off the whistle. Let's see where he goes here this time, Doug. Tries a tripod stand. Duddy again drops on the leg. I won't be surprised if he doesn't get warned for stalling shortly. There's a stalling warning on the top man. Good call by Steve Hockman. Duddy now shows optional start. He may cut Kurtz loose and try to wrestle him neutral. And he does. Score is tied 5-5. Duddy's confident that he can take Kurtz down.
Duddy's 5 points coming on 2 takedowns and an escape. Kurtz with a reversal, a takedown, and an escape.
Duddy on a single, trying to change off to a double. Close to control. Gains control right on the edge of the circle. Duddy takes a 7-5 lead with 50 seconds remaining. Here we see he's in on a single leg. Changes to a double. Gains control right on the edge, right on the outer perimeter. Duddy again shows optional start. He's going to cut Kurtz loose again. Score 7-6. Kurtz in on a double leg. Duddy's been warned for stalling. He can't back out of the circle too many times.
Coaching staff for Del Val urging Kurtz to keep shooting. Duddy with that stalling warning. If he keeps backing up, he's going to get hit again.
Kurtz takes a shot. Duddy on a reshot. Best place for Duddy to be is locked on the leg right now, and I think he realizes that. He wants to stay in there. Kurtz trying to turn a corner. Duddy takes a look up at the clock. Coming down to 20 seconds remaining in the third period. Duddy's close to control there. Does get the takedown. Takes a 9-6 lead, and he's going to get a 3-point victory for Phillipsburg. Phillipsburg takes a 6-0 lead with the first two victories at 103 and 112.
Well, they've taken the first two.
Here we see that last takedown. Duddy locked in tight on a single leg. Pops the head out and gets control right here. Takedown awarded.
We move to 119 for the Terriers. Sophomore Keith Marcus. Marcus is 13 and 8. He will take on junior Dan Buss, who is 12 and 9. Buss sat out the entire season last year for Phillipsburg. Back, he's a junior, 15 and 9 career mark.
Buss trying to work a front headlock. Tries to hit a concrete special here. Got stuck in the middle of it. Was able to gain a takedown. Now goes cross-face cradle. Far elbow trap trying to lock up the cradle. Post behind the knee. Marcus spreads out on the bottom. They're going to go out of bounds. Buss came right up and... Let's see here if we see that replay of the Shrek roll. Here's going to try... There he goes. Gets stuck underneath for a split second. Does gain the takedown. Not able to get back points off of it. Now he's going to try to lock up a cradle again. Going hard after the cradle.
Marcus was 10 and 15 last season for the Terriers. This year placed 4th in the goals tournament and 3rd in the 101 tournament. He is 13 and 8 this season.
Buss has him in a spladle, and he may pin him with this, Doug. There's the fall. Marcus gets caught in a spladle by Buss. He tightens it up for the pin.
It's a huge win for Phillipsburg.
Here we see a replay. You see he reaches across, pulls Marcus over top, has the leg trapped, stretches him out and gets the fall. There we see the pin awarded.
12-0 Phillipsburg now as we move to 125 pounds. So they've taken the first three, and they've gained bonus points in the last one. At 125 for Del Val, we're going to see sophomore Chris Ferry, who's 5 and 11, and for Phillipsburg, sophomore P.J. Budd, who's 10 and 10. Ferry, a sophomore, with a 14 and 21 career record for Del Val, 9 and 10 last season. Budd is a sophomore as well at 10 and 10, comes in placing 4th in the 101 tournament. 5 and 4 mark last season.
Two tough 10th graders here, Budd against Ferry. We said we'd have to give Phillipsburg the edge overall with maybe the tougher schedule they've wrestled throughout the season. Here he's caught right here in a cement job, Doug. This may put an end to that right now. P.J. Budd catches Chris Ferry in a cement job and pins him right on the edge of the circle. Looks like Coach Troxel does get the first 4 right out of the gate.
And he gains 2 back-to-back falls he didn't account for.
Here we see he's going to step up and hit it. Watch your right arm go around ahead. He just turns with him, drives him over onto his back, tightens up the half Nelson. You see the official Steve Hockman looking in for the fall. And there's the pin. Phillipsburg with an 18-0 lead after 4 weights.
We go to 130, and for the first time down at this weight class for the Terriers, it's junior Lance Thatcher. He is 17-4, and he will take on sophomore Justin Kohler, who's 12-7. Thatcher for Del Val, Kohler for Phillipsburg.
Del Val knows they need a victory. They have to stop the momentum of Phillipsburg.
Kohler was a district champion last season for Phillipsburg, finishing his season at 17-8. This year placed third in both the 101 tournament and the Brick Memorial Classic. Kohler now a sophomore with a 29-15 career record for Phillipsburg. Now Thatcher defeated Kohler this season 5-1 in the 101 tournament semifinals. That is why, or one of the reasons why, Coach Paul Pichard did bring his lineup down, feeling Thatcher would go better against Kohler. Bill Mauder, a senior, has wrestled in this spot most of the season for Del Val. Thatcher was just 8-2 last season, 17-4 this year. He placed second in the 101 tournament and won the John Gold tournament at Warren Hills. Thatcher for Del Val and Kohler for Phillipsburg. A lot of rematches tonight. These two teams have met this year in the 101 tournament. This is one of them that favors the Terriers, with Thatcher the winner.
Thatcher in on a single leg. Kohler trying to catch a spladle of his own. Going to try to pick the leg up, and he'll try to catch the leg as he is able to lift it if he's not able to get it. Hasn't been able to get it yet, but he's still working toward it, Doug. Nice scramble here by both wrestlers. Thatcher close to being taken down. They're going to come out of this neutral. Nice flurry. Appears going to end no score. What did Kohler do in the tournaments last year?
District champion for Phillipsburg.
As a freshman?
Yes.
Wow. Here we see he's close to a spladle. If he could sink the leg, and he would be able to sit him up and get it.
Phillipsburg, I know we talked about this when we saw them wrestle Freedom. Post a sophomore district champion last year. Kohler a sophomore district champion last year. Duddy a sophomore district champion last year. And Fania a sophomore district champion, regional runner-up, placed 6th in the state.
Wow,
Phillipsburg with an outstanding younger crop back this year.
Sure is. That's a great tournament for some freshmen for Phillipsburg.
And yet, some of the Phillipsburg fans will tell you, we're having a tough season.
Well, their expectations certainly are lofty.
There's a lot of season left yet, too.
Thatcher tries to peel the head off of Kohler. Kohler locked on the leg, maintains control. Thatcher trying to free his leg. They've got to bounce, no change. Kohler will start in the top.
And, of course, you can't leave out some of the veterans. Stu Sickles, a senior district runner-up. Rhys Miller, a senior district runner-up. District champion, regional runner-up. And Craig Kempinski, a district champion, and placed 4th in regional. So this is a very balanced lineup for Phillipsburg through the top. Some of that maybe inexperience down the bottom hasn't come in as well as they would have hoped.
Kohler rides tough on top of Thatcher. No scorers yet. 1 minute remains in the second period.
And Phillipsburg wrestles arguably the best schedule in New Jersey, the toughest. Defeated Freedom. They wrestled Kittatinny in a loss. Wrestled North Hunterdon. Defeated Nazareth. Lost to Northampton. Beat Voorhees. Beat Hunterdon Central. They haven't lost to Central since 1964. Those back-to-back losses to Easton and Absegami over the last week.
Kohler trying to work a low leg cradle. He may have the cradle locked. Thatcher works toward the edge of the circle. Greg Trox will tell him to pull him back in. They go out of bounds, not able to earn back points with the cradle. 15 seconds remain in the second period. There's no score. Third period choice will go to Kohler. These are two evenly matched wrestlers, two evenly matched 10th and 11th graders. Thatcher, the junior, Kohler, the sophomore. Thatcher turns and faces Kohler, can't break the hands. If he could break the lock, he'd gain a neutral. Not able to do that. Second period ends, no score. Choice goes to Kohler. He's going to take the bottom position.
If you're just joining us, the State Liners lead 18-0 over Del Val. We're at 1:30. Robert Owl, a 4-1 win over John Updike at 1:03. Trevor Duddy, a 9-6 win over Ricky Kurtz at 1:12. Then back-to-back falls for the State Liners. Dan Buss in 1:36 over Keith Marcus, and P.J. Budd in 55 seconds over Chris Ferry as Kohler gains the reversal here at 1:30 to take a 2-0 lead.
Kohler takes a 2-0 lead early into the third period. He was able to ride Thatcher for the entire second period. Let's see what he does here. Thatcher spins and almost gains a reversal. Gets a neutral. Close to getting a takedown, a three-point play. Not quite control. There is control. Thatcher goes up 3-2. Kohler needs to gain an escape to tie it. Here's a neutral for Kohler. The score is tied 3-3. A lot of time left in the third period, minute and 10 seconds. There was no score till the third period when Kohler gained a reversal to lead 2-0. Thatcher got an escape and a takedown to take a 3-2 lead. And Kohler gained an escape, to tie the match at 3-3. This will be the first overtime of the dual meet, Doug. There's a stalemate indicated by Steve Hockman. Steve Hockman is our working official. He's assisted by Dominic Pettinelli. Dominic Pettinelli, who wrestled for Phillipsburg High School. Neither wrestler's really taken many shots. I think the shot they're going to take is going to be a good one. There's a takedown for Thatcher. Comes around the back of Kohler. Takes a 5-3 lead. Kohler stands and tries to peel hands. Thatcher brings him back down to the mat. Kohler gains an escape. Thatcher's trying to get him out of bounds. There's 11 seconds left. Thatcher leads 5-4. You better be ready for Kohler because Kohler's coming on the whistle. Kohler shoots ahead of the whistle and gets cautioned. Justin Kohler was close to getting a takedown right on the edge, but Thatcher got out of bounds. Thatcher dances away from Kohler. Kohler shoots. Stalling warning. 2.3 seconds on a restart. Thatcher can't back up. He's been warned for stalling. Thatcher wins 5-4 in a very entertaining matchup. Here we see Thatcher's going to stand and gain an escape. This is when he was down 2-0. Gains a neutral. And goes right back in. And then gains a takedown. Takes a 3-2 lead there. He eventually won 5-4.
18-3 now. Del Val with some life. We move to 135 for the Terriers. Junior Jim Rosinski. Rosinski is 14-7. He will take on a senior, Matt Lorig, who is 11-8. Rosinski for Del Val, Lorig for Phillipsburg.
This is the first senior we've seen on either team. Matt Lorig.
Lorig with a 5-10 record last season for Phillipsburg. This year placed third in the 101 tournament and fourth in the Brick Memorial Classic. He is 11-8 and he's a senior. Rosinski, a junior for the Terriers, just 6-4 last season. He's 14-7 this year. 2 runners-up this year for the Terriers in the 100 and Warren tournament and the John Goles Classic out at Warren Hills. 2 runners-up this season for Rosinski for Del Valle.
Rosinski close to a takedown. Lorig able to spin and face him. Avoids giving up the takedown. Less than a minute in the first period. No score. Lorig gets a little drag by. Drops down low in a single. They go out of bounds. No control. You said this gym seats about 1,000 fans. I'd say we have over 1,000 in attendance here tonight. Not many seats available. Not any seats available.
Now, believe it or not, they've had more here. This matchup, in some years, you could be here at 4 o'clock and be waiting outside. Phillipsburg fans can boast the same in some of their matchups up at the pit. Del Valle's seen some classics in the late 80s. Paulsboro came up here for the first time. Highland Regional at the time, and up until, well, the last few years, a Power in South Jersey in Group 4. We've seen some classics. In fact, I believe Paulsboro, that was the first time they'd ever come up north to wrestle anyone, was in Del Valle, and I believe that was in '88.
Lorig asked for injury time. He may have chipped his tooth. He tries a little throw by. Tries to throw the head by Rosinski. Rosinski faces him. There he looks at his, or he feels for his tooth. He may have a little piece of the tooth chipped off. Phillipsburg trainer Dwayne Britta looking at Lorig, sends him back out. First period ends, no score. Choice goes to Rosinski.
Other than
the deferred choice.
And Jake, I was going to say, other than the 2 falls, 2-0 lead for Al in the first period at 1:03, a tie 4-4 at 1:12, 0-0 at 1:30, and 0-0 at 1:35. Other than those 2 pins, this has been a very tight matchup for both teams. No one really, in the bouts that went the distance, been able to get out there and open up a big lead. But the Buss and Bud falls right now the difference, and they've been huge.
Yes, they have been very big for Phillipsburg. But as you said, Doug, it's really a close match otherwise. Phillipsburg's won the close ones.
Actually, Coach Troxel told me in Dan Buss's 21 matches this year, he's only gone the distance 3 times. He's either been pinned or has pinned, and tonight he got the fall.
He was the pinner as opposed to the pinnee. The pinner and not the pinned. Live with the pin and die with the pin, it sounds like. He's a goer. He's a risk taker. There's a stalling warning on the green wrestler. That's the home wrestler, Del Valle, the top man. He would not have stopped the match to warn the bottom man. To warn the offensive wrestler in high school, you stop the match and restart the wrestlers. Steve Hockman felt that Rosinski was riding Lorig. Lorig scores a neutral. First points of the bout. Takes a 1-0 lead.
You know, it's funny how stalling can change the complexion of the match. Talking to Steve Powell after their victory over Northampton, we go back to that Chasuli-Cernovsky battle, and he said, obviously, everyone knows how good Matt is on top, but that stalling warning early changed his mindset and said, well, gee, I can't ride if they're not letting me do what I do.
You know what? That was a great stalling call, though, in my mind. I felt Chasuli was riding. I know Steve Powell didn't like the call. Rosinski scores a takedown off a snap and spin, takes a 2-1 lead. I'll give you an example, Doug. Several years ago, I had the opportunity to officiate Bobby Crawford from Milton. He had 99 wins in a row. He was in the regional finals against Danny Tashner. They were going to see gets a little drag. Rosinski spins and faces him, snaps and spins around him here and gains a takedown of his own. But Bobby Crawford was content to ride on top of Danny Thatcher, or Danny, I've just lost my train. Danny Tashner from Nazareth. He was ready to ride him for the entire period, and as soon as I warned him for stalling, Bobby Crawford got busy, and it was one of the most exciting matches I've ever seen in high school. In fact, Tashner almost had him pinned. Crawford took him down to tie it. It went to overtime, and Tashner won in overtime. But had I not warned Bob Crawford on the top position, he would have been content just to ride and ride and ride. And sometimes the official has to warn stalling on top to get the action going. And that's what I think Gene Watts did with Chisulian. It certainly made it a better bout.
And a comment that I had made that I think the ref, Gene knows these two schools well, knows the wrestlers, knows what they're out there to do, knows Matt is effective from that offensive position, saw that he wasn't doing his usual deal on top, and I think that was another case. I think they knew going in what those wrestlers needed to do, trying to get the action going a little more by doing what they did.
And wrestlers are smart. They'll know as long as you let them, they'll do everything that they can get away with. Once that warning for stalling came, it served notice that I expect you to get busy. And it changed the complexion of the bout, just as you said. Brzezinski leads here 3-2 over Lurig. We're in the third period. In the neutral position. Brzezinski is a headlock, front headlock lock, tries to turn the corner. Close to a takedown. Now he brings him down to the mat for control. This would be a big victory for Del Val. Brzezinski leading 5-2 with a lot of time left in the third period.
Up next at 140, Del Val has brought down Dan Hutchins for the first time. These three wrestlers, along with Bush at 45 and Kerr at 52, for Del Val down to that weight for the first time this season.
Here we see on the replay, Brzezinski close to getting the takedown. Dumps him down on the mat, gains control right there on the edge of the circle.
So Hutchins will go next for Del Val at 140, one of the highest decorated returning wrestlers for the Terriers, and he will take on Mike Fania, a sophomore who placed 6th in the state for the State Liners, next.
1 minute remains in the third period. Brzezinski leads 5-2 over Lurig. Riding tough on top. He's been warned for stalling earlier. Lurig tries to come to his feet. Brzezinski picks him up and brings him back down onto the mat. Less than 30 seconds remain. Brzezinski at this point is taking it to Lurig physically. Riding him tough on top. Sinks in a bar, far wrist. You see less than 10 seconds in the bout. Brzezinski wins 5-2 over Lurig. Second three-point victory for Del Val. Team score Peaburg 18, Delaware Valley 6.
They've won 2 of those crucial 6. As Greg Troxel says, they need to steal 1.
Those are 2 pivotal matches, the last 2. Here we see he's going to take him in a body lock right to his back. Lurig thought the match was over, then he realizes they better get off my back. And he does in a hurry.
So we go to 140 for the Terriers senior Dan Hutchins. He is 17-3, and he will take on a sophomore, Mike Fania, for the State Liners, who is 15-6.
Hutchins in on a single leg on Fania. Fania trying to defend it. Hutchins picks the single up in front. Tries to run the pipe. Close to the edge of the circle. Fania now trying to catch his own spladle. I think we're going to run out of match space, Doug. Now they go out of bounds. We're going to restart neutral.
Hutchins defeated Fania 3-2 in the 101 tournament semifinals. Hutchins is a junior. 28-4 record last season, a district runner-up for the Terriers, placing 3rd in regions, a district runner-up as a freshman, to a 2-time district medalist for the Terriers. He's a junior this year, 2nd in the 101 tournament, and won the John Golds Classic. He has now placed twice in the 101 tournament, first as a sophomore, 2nd this year as a junior.
Did Hutchins beat Fania this year?
3-2 in the semifinals of the 101 tournament.
Okay, I'd say they're pretty evenly matched, and I think the first takedown is going to win this.
Pena, sophomore, was 24-12 last season for Phillipsburg, winning a district championship, regional runner-up, placing 6th in the state. Career record now of 39-16.
Hutchins in on a single. Pena trying to counter with a spladle. Stalemate indicated, 33 seconds remain in the first period. Whoever gets the first takedown in this bout, I think, will be the victor. We shall see.
Pena, a two-time 101 tournament medalist, second and third. He placed second in the Brick Memorial Classic this year, and he also placed fourth in the Hurricane Classic last season for the State Liners.
Hutchins again in on a single. Pena trying to counter. Hutchins hits a little barrel roll, scores the first takedown, takes a 2-0 lead.
With
just ahead of the buzzer.
Points at the end of period, 3 seconds to go, he gets the takedown.
That's critical, not to relax on the edge of the mat at the end of the period. We're going to see it on a replay. Straightens him up in a barrel roll. He's going to pull down on the elbow. Hits the barrel roll. There we see the takedown awarded. Second period, Pena is going to start on the bottom.
Takedowns are even tonight at 6 apiece, or at 140.
Pena gains a neutral. Hutchins leads 2-1. Hutchins confident that he can score on his feet. Stays right in the center of the 10-foot circle. Pena shoots. Hutchins blocks. Stalemate indicated. A lot of very even matchups through the middle. I mentioned the last 2 bouts won by Del Valle were close ones.
4 bouts of the 6 by decision. Phillipsburg with 4-1 and 9-6 wins. Del Valle 5-4 and 5-2 wins in their 2.
Hutchins in on a double. No control yet. Pena locked around the body. Now tries to go to a switch. Hutchins close to a takedown. Pena counters by switching out of it and gains a takedown on his own. Pena takes a 3-2 lead. Less than a minute remaining in the second period. Hutchins tries to peel hands on the bottom. Tries to hip across Pena. Pena now rides with a single leg grapevine. Excuse me, with an ankle trap. Tries to go cross-face cradle, does Pena. Not able to lock the cradle. You can see we're less than 30 seconds in the second period. Hutchins has got to score this period to get back in the bout. Stalemate indicator, we're going to restart with 18 seconds. Hutchins down by a point, losing 3-2. There we see sophomore Mike Pena ready to get back on top. Second period ends. Pena leads 3-2. He may have a cut on his finger. He's asking for injury time. Wants to get his fingers wrapped. Dwayne Breida, the trainer, coming out to look at him on the apron of the mat. Here we see Dwayne Breida. Gets out the roll of tape. He's going to tape the fingers of Mike Pena. We mentioned some of the coaches from Phillipsburg. Greg Troxel, head coach. Kevin Kane, assistant. We know Jason Hawk is coaching in New Jersey. There we see the coaches from Del Valle talking to Hutchins, telling him to wrestle smart.
It's Lee Hall on the left and Paul Petro, the head coach, on the right.
We said Mike Rossetti. Where's Mike Rossetti coaching?
Central.
100 Central. Where's Hawkey?
He's at North Hunterdon, head coach.
North Hunterdon. We know that Ricky Thompson's coaching at Voorhees. Some great wrestling coaches have come out of that Phillipsburg program. Let's see what we see here in the replay. There you can see Hutchins with a hold of the less than 4 fingers. I think that's where he may have injured his finger. Hutchins gains a neutral, ties the score 3-3 early in the third period. Thad Turner for years was the head coach at Phillipsburg, and then Jan Dutt for many years was an assistant. And both those head coaches had some outstanding wrestlers come through their program. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention another great wrestling coach from Phillipsburg High School. Teaches math in room 102, George Chilmonic. George Chilmonic was an outstanding wrestler at East Stroudsburg University, came out of the Hunterdon Central program, and coached with Jan Dutt for many years as an assistant. So there are some great coaches in Phillipsburg, past and present. Hutchins in on a single leg. Spania tries to counter with a spladle. Hutchins locked in tight, doesn't want to get caught in that spladle. Potentially dangerous indicated by the official, Steve Hockman.
Should throw a thank you to George Chilmonic. With his assistance, that has allowed you now to join me on Saturday out at Hershey.
That's right, George is going to Navy. In fact, George was working Navy in North Carolina State on Saturday. When I found that out, I asked him if he could do North Carolina the second match of the day so that I can go on TV2. We're going to do PCN at Hershey, the AA Finals. I'm looking forward to that.
Saturday afternoon at 2:30, AA Finals on PCN. We'll be there.
So thank you to Mr. Chilmonic in room 102. Stalemate indicated. 46 seconds remain. We're tied 3-3. No stalling warnings. No stalling warnings at all in this bout. They said the first takedown was going to win it. Maybe more like the last takedown is going to win it. Hutchins in on a single. Spania again trying to counter with a spladle. Trying to cinch the leg up, trying to ratchet it closer. Locks up close to a cradle, gets a takedown. Close to getting a count on back points. Less than 15 seconds in the bout. This is a big victory for Phillipsburg. Spania's going to beat Hutchins on a late takedown, 5-3.
After 140, Phillipsburg 21, Del Val 6, back with 145 right after this on TV2 Sport. Along with Jake Llewellyn, hope you're enjoying this one here on TV2. You see the score of Phillipsburg 21, Del Val 6. We go to 145. And out there on the mat for the Terriers, senior Phil Bush. Bush is 14-4, taking on an outstanding sophomore for the State Liners, Dave Post, who was 18-3.
We saw Dave Post beat Craig Kunzman in the dual meet against Freedom 4-0. So he's certainly a very tough wrestler for a 10th grader, Dave Post. Phillipsburg fans certainly are enjoying what they're seeing here at Del Val tonight thus far. Fans are enjoying themselves from Phillipsburg, New Jersey. Phil Bush and Dave Post.
Bush is senior, won this year's Hunterdon Warren tournament at 152. Second in the Goals Classic. He's a senior.
Bush scores the first takedown, takes a 2-0 lead over Post.
Post, the sophomore, was a district champion last season for the State Liners, going 15-5. Also placed fourth in a regional tournament. 34-8 career record, placed third in this year's Hunterdon Warren tournament and first in the Brick Memorial Classic.
Post hits a switch almost to a cradle. Control still goes with Bush on the bottom, locked around the leg. Post close to gaining a reversal here. Does gain the reversal, ties the bout 2-2. You can see certain tendencies with the Phillipsburg team. You know they drill that spladle as a counter. You can see that with a few guys. You know they drill a switch to a cradle. We've seen that with a few of the wrestlers. Certain tendencies. Single leg with the head outside. Certain team tendencies that you can kind of pick up if you were scouting Phillipsburg. Control still with Post. Locked around the waist of Bush. Still is a tight lock on the leg. Bush tries to come around a corner and gain a reversal. They're going to go out of bounds. No change of control. Good call by the official. Del Val coaches want a reversal, but that was a good call. He never broke the lock of Dave Post. Here we see he's locked around the leg. They go out of bounds. Close to a neutral, but not quite in the estimation of the official. Short time remains in the period. First period ends, score tied 2-2.
And Jake, we go back to what Coach Troxel said Phillipsburg needs to win. Try to sweep the first 4. They did it, and they got 12 bonus points out of that with 2 falls. Win 1 of 6 between 130 and 171. And they just did that in a classic between Fania and Hutchins.
Tell you what, it's going according to his game plan. Phillipsburg with a fairly good lead, 21-6, but that could change in a hurry.
Of course, Phillipsburg has Dale Rissmiller, who's undefeated at 171, and Craig Kempinski at 189, who has just 1 loss. Del Val has Alex Shallop at 160, who's 19-2, so they've got some guns left in the clip, along with Adam Schumacher at 171. Bullets in the clip, I'll correct myself.
Post stands and turns in. Control still with Bush. Stalemate indicated. We're going to restart. That's a good call. The Phillipsburg fans may have wanted the top wrestler to move up, but he wasn't able to. He wasn't able to free his arm to improve his position on top. Let's watch the first move of Post. I think he's going to hit a stand-up right off the whistle. Comes from to a tripod stand-up. Bush brings him back down to his hands. Gains a reversal. Right there's a reversal. There the reversal's awarded. To gain a reversal, and there's a reversal back again for Bush. You do not have to bring your opponent to the mat to get a reversal. All you have to do is go behind him to get around the back of him standing. There's a 2-point reversal. Score is tied 4-4. Bush is going to show optional start on Post. Puts the diamond on the back. Going to cut him loose. Kicks him free for a neutral. Post leads Bush 5-4. Post with a Russian tie on the arm. Tries to pull him down. This may be a stalemate. Their stalemate is indicated by the official. Less than a minute in the second period. Post in on a shot. There's a scissor on the head. Illegal hold indicated by the official. 1 point goes to Dave Post. Bill Bush locked a scissor on the head of Post. Post tries a little throw by. Tries to hit a duck under. .30 seconds remain in the second period. 6-4 lead. Post over Bush. Phillipsburg leads Del Val 21-6. Bush trapping on the wrist of Post. But Bush has to get open and get some shots. He's got to try to get back in this bout. He's down 6-4. Going to the third period. Choice goes to Bush. He's going to elect to start from the bottom position.
Talked briefly before about Rissmiller coming up at 171, and Kempinski, 2 candidates for Phillipsburg to place well at state. The last 2 state champions for the State Liners in '96, Mark DiFrancesco and Tim Moore. Now, the interesting story there is Lehigh fans and wrestling fans in the Valley will see Mark DeFrancisco from Ryder on Friday. And Tim Moore defeated Dave Esposito in the quarterfinals in the state championship in '96. Esposito from JFK Island ended up placing third. Moore went on to win a state championship for the State Liners that year at 130.
Here we see a Spladle coming, Doug. From the top position, Dave Post tried to lock up a Spladle and pull Bush across, but not able to do it. Post in control, leading 6-4. I know DeFrancisco was off the team for a while. I don't know if he was injured, but he's back in the starting lineup for Ryder, and he'll be in the lineup this Friday against Lehigh. Probably 197 pounds, I guess.
Should be a classic against John Trenge. DeFrancisco that year had battles with Brian Omis from Warren Hills in district finals, region finals, and state finals. Beat him all 3 times to win a title. Believe he went undefeated that season as well.
Here comes again. He's trying to hit it again. As we mentioned, they certainly seem to drill that Spladle from different positions. Potentially dangerous indicated. Less than a minute in the third period. I'm surprised that Post is trying that maneuver leading by 2 points. A little bit risky. Must be pretty confident he could work it from the top position. Usually you'll see the Spladle as a counter to a leg shot. Puts in a single leg grapevine. Goes crossbody rides. Going to try to work a tilt off the grapevine leg. We haven't seen much from Bush in the third period. He came out guns blazing in the first period.
This is the first time he's been down to this weight, whether it's conditioning here late in this bout.
Post gets a little sloppy, and Bush gains the reversal. He's going to tie the match. He's got at least one here.
There it is.
There's the reversal indicated. Short time left. We're going to go overtime, Doug. Dave Post got a little bit high on top. He allowed Bush to reverse him. Bush had a tough crossface on him. We see him trying to hip over. Control still with Post here. Right here we're going to see Bill Bush is going to gain a reversal to tie the bout. Right there, the reversal's awarded.
Greg Troxel made his way to the scores table and wanted an escape. He didn't get it. We're going to go to overtime, tied at 6. Crucial matchup here for the Terriers.
Well, we could say a takedown's going to win this bout, but that's never certain. It could go to the rideout. 6-6 tie, no stalling warnings. Dave Post working a Russian tie. Bill Bush is going to trap on the arm. We're in the sudden victory. Post tries to step in. Bush gets in deep. He's going to get a takedown. Bush wins it in overtime, 8-6. Scores a takedown in sudden victory.
31 seconds in. A takedown for Bush. He wins 8-6. It's 21-9.
Dave Post seemed confused here. I don't even think he knew he was in overtime. Here he's going to try to step in with a Polish trip. And when he does step in, it allows Bush to get in locked around the body. Picks him up and dumps him down for a takedown. And Dave Post looks completely confused there. He wasn't sure what the situation was.
152, 21-9 for the State Liners senior Stu Sickles. He is 10-5, and he will take on Roy Kerr, the junior, for the Terriers, who is 14-7. Kerr for Del Val, Sickles for Phillipsburg.
Sickles gets around the back of Kerr, but not able to bring him to the mat for a takedown.
Kerr has been as high as 171 this season for Del Val, down to 152 tonight.
Kerr takes a shot. Sickles sprawls. Sickles on a reshot in on a single.
Kerr was 14-11 last season for Del Val, placing third in districts. He's a two-time Hunterdon Warren tournament medalist, fourth and third, and he placed third in this year's John Goles Classic. He is a junior at 14-7.
These are two very strong wrestlers, Kerr and Sickles. Here we see a shot. Sickles spins around on the counter. There's no score yet.
Sickles was 22-9 last season for the State Liners and a district runner-up, two-time Hunterdon Warren tournament medalist, third and second. He has a career record at Phillipsburg of 49-26.
They got a bounce, no takedown. This could be a very exciting match. Some wild and woolly wrestling. Sickles played football for the State Liners, Doug, didn't he?
Defensive end along with Mike Vetter, excuse me. Yes, he did. Outstanding defensive end.
He's a goer. So is Kerr.
The Phillipsburg football team that made it to the state playoffs.
You can see that Sickles has spent some time in the weight room. Very strong in the thighs, shoulders, and biceps. Kerr in on a single, changes to a double, brings Sickles down on the mat for a takedown. Kerr takes a 2-0 lead. Short time left in the period. Sickles gains a neutral right before the buzzer. We're going to see, I think, the takedown. He hits a single with his head outside, picks him up, changes to a double, pops the hips, brings him down for the takedown. Second period choice, Sickles will start from the bottom. We'll see how Kerr does down at 152 for the first time, Doug.
Talked about Bush, and he came on strong right after we got finished talking about how it looked like he might be getting a little tired.
Might have been taking a little rest there.
Yeah, and it might have been Post that might have gotten a little bit too much at the end.
Post actually did too much in that match. He was winning 6-4. He certainly wasn't stalling. He was trying to turn him with a spladle a couple times. And only because he got a little reckless and got a little bit high did he give Bush the opportunity to tie the bout. And then in overtime, he actually tried a Polish trip. He stepped in, and that enabled Bush to get a position on a body lock that eventually led to the winning takedown. Sickles stands off a tripod. Kerr picks him up, turns his hips, and brings him back down on the mat. Kerr is deceptively strong. There we see he's going to pick him up, take him over the post, back down onto the mat. Sickles tries to hit a switch right on the edge of the circle. They go out of bounds. Neutral awarded. Good call by the official right on the edge. Kerr may need injury time. He may have got hit in the head here, and he's coming back slowly. Actually, Roy Kerr has expended a lot of energy lifting Stu Sickles and throwing him around the mat. The official has no idea that he was hit in the head, I don't think. I think he just thinks he's straggling back to the center.
We were talking about the weight drops, and both of these schools closed for 2 days, Monday and Tuesday, due to the storm. Didn't practice on Sunday. Talking to Greg Troxel, I asked him how that affected his team. He said they had a chance to work out a little yesterday, not at all Monday. The coaches agreed to give a 3-pound allowance today. Didn't really matter too much except at 140 with Hutchins weighing in at 143, but they did agree on a 3-pound allowance due to those 2 days off from school.
So they had a mutual understanding.
Yes.
They're going to wait. There's going to be a weight allowance.
Yep.
That really isn't provided for in the rules, but I guess
No.
they shouldn't have told you.
Should I not have said that?
That's right. No weight allowance asked for and none given.
I was wondering, obviously Monday and yesterday, with both schools being called off, how that would affect not necessarily the conditioning, but, you know, watching your weight without Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday.
We have to say it's equitable. It's allowance both ways.
Well, forget what I just said then.
Scores 4-3. Kerr leads Sickles. Kerr just scored a takedown. Sickles gains in neutral. They do have a 2-pound growth allowance in the middle of January and then again a pound in February. Here we're going to see Kerr score a takedown. Right here he gets control. Shortly thereafter, Sickles gains a neutral. Here we see him kick free for an escape right there at the end of that flurry. Third period starts with Kerr on the bottom.
I have seen instances in the past, and I won't mention who and what schools involved, where the coaches have actually allowed the other teams additional time before the cutoff to make weight.
Wow.
Again, just a verbal agreement, but I won't mention who that was now, just because it might have gotten somebody in trouble.
I know most coaches will be watching their watch to see when the weigh-in's over. Kerr stands and gains a neutral. Takes a 5-3 lead. Sickles needs a takedown to tie it. In college today, they weigh in 1 hour before the dual meet. Years ago, they would have a certified weigh-in maybe the day before. There were times there would be a guy at your weight class you weren't sure. You could have been 10 pounds over the actual weight. With a certified weigh-in, you're also going on the trustworthiness of another coach. Many coaches could have taken unfair advantage. But today they get on the scale 1 hour before the dual meet, shoulder-to-shoulder weigh-ins.
Kerr was just hit for stalling, his first warning.
You know, years ago when we wrestled Phillipsburg in the pit, we would actually leave early because we didn't want them to weigh in ahead of us. We'd get the bus over there early. Because there were many times we'd show up at 5:30 and Phillipsburg would say, well, we already weighed in.
That trick was still done even in just a few years ago.
We used to tell a bus driver, you better be here at 4:30. Sickles on that whirly-bird maneuver comes around and gets a takedown. Ties the bout. 5-5. Stu Sickles with a tough spin. Let's watch him do the whirly-bird. Snap and spin around and gains control for a takedown.
He's going to cut him loose.
Shows optional start. Cuts him loose. Coming down to 30 seconds left in the bout. Gutsy move by Sickles. He knows he needs a takedown to win it.
Don't forget, Kerr's got that stalling warning on him.
And he is stalling. He's backing away. Sickles in on his shot. Kerr sprawls and blocks. He's going to shoot him off the edge. Greg Trox will tell him you got to shoot right off the whistle. Come right across the circle. He wants him to back Kerr up. 8.8 seconds you see in the upper left-hand corner of the screen. Sickles is going to come across like gangbusters on the whistle, I have a feeling. Kerr's able to hang on for the win. 6-5 victory. Roy Kerr over Stu Sickles. Very exciting matchup, very entertaining bout.
The Terriers are within 9, 21-12, another close matchup.
Kerr was able to avoid a stalling call at the end, barely. He did just enough at the end not to get hit for stalling.
Well, we go to 160. On the mat now for the Terriers is senior Alex Shallop. He is 19-2. He will take on junior Derek Schisler for the State Liners, 13-4. Shallop for Del Val, Schisler for Peaburg.
How critical is this bout, Doug? Each matchup now is going to get more and more important as the dual meet goes. And a must-win here for the Terriers. Alex Shallop knows his role. He knows he's on a mission. Schisler takes the first shot, blocked off by Shallop. Shallop catches him in a little pancake. He's going to get 2 in back points. He jumped over. He should have stayed on the same side. When you catch somebody in that maneuver, don't jump over. Stay on that side. Now he does stay on that side. When he jumped across before he lost it, there he does again. A little coaching technique. When you catch somebody in that back pancake, they call it, over the back pancake, don't go to the other side. Stay right where you were. He's going to come out of there 7-0.
Well, Shallop for Del Val was a district and regional third-place finisher last year, going 19-8, placed third in districts as a sophomore. He's a senior for the Terriers at 19-2.
He almost catches him again in the pancake, now spins around and just maintains control on top.
Shallop placed third in the 100 and Warren tournament, first in the John Goles Classic for the Terriers. Schisler's lone tournament this year for the State Liners was a runner-up in the Brick Memorial Classic. He's a junior at 13-4.
Coming down to 30 seconds remaining in the first period. Shallop leads 7-0. Rides tough on top of Derek Schisler.
The Terriers looking for their first bonus point tonight. The State Liners have worked 2 falls into this 21 points, coming at 119 and 125.
Shallop gets a little bit high with 15 seconds left and gives up a neutral. Almost a neutral and a takedown. We're going to restart neutral with 6 seconds left on the clock. Shallop leads 7-1. Got a little bit sloppy right at the end. Got a little bit too high. He actually caught Derek Schisler in what they call a behind-the-head pancake. Let's see if we see it here. Here we see that pancake. He's behind the head with the pancake. And as we mentioned, he stays on that side. He's pretty good balance. When you jump across, you lose the position.
That's the biggest lead for any wrestler that has gone the distance, other than those 2 falls in the first period. That's 7-1 lead for Shallop here at 160.
Second period, Schisler on the bottom. Shallop again rides tough on top. Shallop not able to score points from the top position. He might do better to cut him loose here and try to catch him in a throw. Either get bonus points or a fall. Schisler turns in, almost gains a neutral. Control still with Shallop. Close to a neutral. There the escape is awarded. Schisler in on a double leg. Go towards the edge of the circle, out of bounds, neutral. Schisler has been more the aggressor on their feet. Here we see Bobby Weaver relaxing, sitting with his arms above his head, taking in the wrestling.
It's the first time he's looked like that tonight, I think, and that was just for a split second. We caught him.
I don't think he's relaxing, I said that, but he's very contemplative. Pondering. You mentioned Schisler more the aggressor on their feet. He's taking more of the shots. Shallop's caught him off that pancake.
That's 7 points off that one move.
He had stayed on the same side. There he does it again. Let's see. Now he doesn't even cinch it up to get anything.
Tries it again.
Does it again. He's going to get a takedown. If he stays there, he's going to get 3 back points. I doubt he's going to jump across this time. 30 seconds remain.
He might.
Schisler's able to go belly down. 3 back points. He's leading 12-2. 15 seconds remain in the second period. He scored 5 and 7 points off that same maneuver. He got 2 and 3 and 2, and then 2 and 3 again.
Actually hit it 4 separate times.
Third period, Shallop takes the bottom position, leading 12-2.
Don't forget, 14 weight classes in Jersey. You insert the 215. Up next at 171 for Phillipsburg, Dale Rissmiller, and for Del Val, Adam Schumacher.
Here we see the move that Shallop's caught Schisler in several times thus far. Shallop stands close to a neutral. Gains the escape. Derek Schisler better be aware of that behind the head pancake that Shallop has in his arsenal. He's going to try to hit it again.
Del Val has Matt Metz, a junior, weighed in here at 160 as well. He may go up to 171 to see Rissmiller, which would move Schumacher up to 89 to take on Kempinski, with Worst and Huff at 215 and 275 for the Terriers.
I was just wondering about that same thing, Doug. I know they weighed in a gang of guys through the middle, and thus far they've gone according to Hoyle. Haven't been too many moves or any moves made.
Schumacher lost to Kempinski in the 101 tournament 5-1, and he is slated to go next. Phillipsburg has Mike Bray, a junior, weighed in at 189 as well. The Terriers have Tanner Galgonia weighed in at 189 as senior also. So there's we expect to see, or maybe not, might see some movement here coming up.
Schisler hits a single leg. Shallop blocks him off. 30 seconds remaining in the bout. Other than those 2 maneuvers, Shallop hasn't done a whole lot. Leads 13-2. This is only a 4-point victory where it seemed like he could garner more points. Less than 10 seconds in the bout. Shallop's going to beat Schisler 13-2 for a 4-point victory.
Well, we're through 10. Each team has won 5. It's 21-16. The Terriers are within 5, the closest they've been since 103 when they were down 3-0.
Phillipsburg was ahead 18-0 at one point.
And now we wait. We go to 171. Dale Rissmiller getting geared up for Del Val. Now the coin flip determined who sends first. The State Liners will send Dale Rissmiller, the undefeated senior, at 21-0. Lee Hall, assistant coach for Del Val, along with Paul Petro, discussing the decision here at 171. It's Matt Metz at 171. Metz is a junior at 0-2. He will take on Rissmiller, senior, undefeated, 21-0.
Just as you speculated, Doug, they're going to put Metz in here and put Schumacher up against Kempinski probably, or Bray, unless Kempinski doesn't go at 189.
Yeah, there's some rumblings about where he would be tonight. Mike Peterson, who is the heavyweight for Phillipsburg, lost earlier this year to Scott Huff, the heavyweight for Del Val. Ian Roncaroni weighed in at 215, defeated Josh Worst, who's weighed in at 215 for the Terriers. And I mentioned Kempinski lost to beat Schumacher in the 101 tournament 9-1.
Metz is moving on his feet, trying to stay away from Rissmiller. Metz weighed in at 160 pounds. A little bit undersized against Dale Rissmiller. Rissmiller scores the first takedown, takes a 2-0 lead. Puts Metz on his back. Getting back points in a front headlock. Changes it off to a regular half. Not able to block the arm at the elbow. Metz fights onto his belly. Rissmiller leads 5-0.
Rissmiller was 32-6 last season for Phillipsburg, a district champion, a regional runner-up, has placed twice in districts now, second and first, a two-time 101 tournament champion, placed sixth in the Hurricane Classic last season, won the Brick Memorial Classic this year. He's an undefeated 21-0 and has a career record at Phillipsburg of 66-10.
Picks the arm up, drives right across Metz. He's going to get at least 3 back points out of this. Short time left in the period. He may get the fall here, Doug. There's the pin. 3.5 seconds ahead of the whistle.
157 makes it 27-16. The Terriers now down by 11 with 3 weight classes left, and they will move Adam Schumacher up to 189. Schumacher's a junior at 16-5. And he will take on Craig Kempinski, the senior for the State Liners, who is 17-1. Schumacher for Del Val, Kempinski for Phillipsburg at 189.
Coach Troxel knows Kempinski needs just a regular decision to seal the victory for the Peaburg State Liners. And Kempinski has a body lock on. He's going to take him right to his back. Schumacher in trouble. Kempinski locked tight around the body. Schumacher in a tough bridge. Fights off his back. Kempinski leads 5-0. Drives the arm over. Going to try to change it off to a half Nelson here. Boy, Kempinski took it right to him with a bear hug. Now he's trying to work a cement job. It's going to be a stalemate. Not able to kick him over. They're going to restart Kempinski on the top.
Kempinski, a returning district champion for the State Liners, placed 4th in regionals last year, 27-7 record. Career record now at Phillipsburg of 49-13. He's won the 101 tournament the last 2 seasons and placed 3rd in last year's Hurricane Classic.
Kempinski loads a hammerlock on the back of Schumacher. Boy, he picks that arm off the back and tries to run it across. Close to potentially dangerous. Changes off. Jumps to the other side. Keeps the hammerlock locked on the back. Potentially dangerous as indicated.
Schumacher was 14-11 last season for the Terriers. This year won the John Gold's Classic and placed 4th in the 101 tournament. He's 16-5 this year.
Schumacher tries to stand. Kempinski brings him back to the mat. 30 seconds remain in the first period. Kempinski puts in a leg, tries to stretch him forward for a power half. Puts in a power half.
A must-win for the Terriers here at 189. They trail by 11 with just 2 weight classes left, 215 and 275. Or at 189, it's 27-16 Phillipsburg.
It seems to me that Craig Kempinski is on his way to mathematically clinching the dual meet for Peaburg. Here we see he's going to take him right down to his back in that body lock and the bear hug. Look at the bridge that Schumacher puts on here. Up high on top of his head. Doesn't want to give up back points or the fall. Kapinski scores a neutral to start the second period, leads 6-0. I doubt Kapinski's going to try anything too risky. He can be content to be very cautious. Scores a takedown right on the edge, takes an 8-0 lead. Kapinski over Schumacher. Adam Schumacher, a junior, Craig Kapinski, a senior.
Phillipsburg now with 11 takedowns. Del Valle with 10. The State Liners, I guess the difference you'd have to say at this point, 18 points on those 3 falls. The difference, they lead 6 bouts to 5. Del Valle's lone bonus point was a major decision by Schallop at 160.
Kapinski turns with a half. Schumacher shows a lot of grit, fights all the way through to his belly. Did not give up back points. Kapinski works the claw, pulls him back on top of him, almost had himself in trouble there to Kapinski. Here we see the claw. He locks around the body. He's going to hoof him back. Watch where he takes him here. He's going to pull him back across himself. Trying to pull him for back points. There you can see Kapinski was on his own shoulders just for a touch. But he scrambled to get off in a hurry.
Craig's older brother, Steve Kapinski, a state medalist for the State Liners a few years back.
Here you can see the right knee of Adam Schumacher being attended to by the trainer for Del Valle. He was limping back to the center. And he twisted his knee.
Up next at 2:15, Del Valle has both Josh Wurst and Scott Huff weighed in here. We expect to see Wurst, a senior, take on Ian Roncaroni, a junior for the State Liners. And then at 275, Scott Huff for Del Valle and Mike Peterson for Phillipsburg, but the State Liners could lock it up with a win here at 189 by Craig Kapinski.
Kapinski is on his way to a workmanlike thrashing, leading 8-0, a little less than a minute in the second period. Shows optional start. And Adam Schumacher is certainly a game opponent, but he's taken on a tough Craig Kapinski. And here again, Schumacher weighed in at 171 pounds, Doug. So he's giving a little bit of weight away. At least a stone. Kapinski is at least a stone larger than Schumacher.
I'd like to thank the staff at Del Valle for providing us with excellent accommodations tonight and a great vantage point right on the corner of the mat. A table with plenty of room.
This is a very nice seat, great view. No obstructions. Kapinski on a single, trying to keep the action inside the circle. Trying to pull Schumacher inbounds. Kapinski walks him back. Going to try to run the pipe. Stalemate indicated. 10 seconds on the restart. Kapinski takes a shot right off the whistle. He wants to score here before the end of the period. Changes off to a double. Gets a takedown. Throws in a half. He's going to get a count on back points. How about that? He's going to score 4 points in 10 seconds. I think he gave him 3 back points.
He did.
Wow. Let's watch the restart. 10 seconds left. Hits a single. Wheels across to a double. Throws in a half Nelson right there. And he's going to get 5 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right before the buzzer, 5-point maneuver. Takedown and 3 back points. Kapinski leads 13-1. He's close to a tech fall. Comes out front, locks up a front headlock. Shows optional start. He's going to cut Schumacher loose. Kicks him out for a neutral. Kapinski knows that if he takes him down to his back, he has to pin him or else it's over. It'll be a technical fall. 15-point margin of victory is a technical fall. Paul Petro is Lee Hall on his staff. He also has Mark Conley, who wrestled at Lock Haven. I know Mark Conley wrestled for the Caron brothers when they were coaching here at Del Val. Kapinski scores a takedown, takes a 15-2 lead. Steve Hockman's going to stop the match and ask for injury time. This is the second injury stoppage. Leaves a leg up in the air. Trips the other leg, gets a takedown. You can see Schumacher's face in pain.
Brent Conley, let me correct you on that one.
I'm sorry, Brent Conley.
So I don't get in trouble since I...
Did I say Brett Conley?
Mark Conley. And I know what you're thinking.
Okay.
Mark, I'm trying to think if there's a Mark where he came from, but...
Yeah, there is another Conley from somewhere in District 1. You're absolutely right. Brent Conley wrestled here at Del Val, then went to Lock Haven University and wrestled at Lock Haven.
Brent hurt his finger a week before districts, his senior season. Did not participate in postseason, was invited to the Eastern Lions Classic, wrestled Whitey Klebov, and beat him. Klebov winning a state championship that season for Northampton. Kind of a nice finish.
Wow.
Disappointing finish, but a nice finish for Brent as a senior.
There's always some great wrestling in that Lions Club Classic. Some of the best in New Jersey and some of the best in Pennsylvania. Hook up at 25th Street Gym in Easton with the Lions Club Classic. Our good friend Jack Logic.
Lipinski now leads by 14, 16-2.
Not a whole lot of telecasts left on TV2 for this wrestling season. This could be one of our last dual meets of the season. You mentioned we're on PCN on Saturday with the AA. We have the team, or excuse me, we already had the team districts. We're in the individual districts in a few weeks.
Regionals. There's the technical fall, 17-2.
Phillipsburg wins. I'm not sure what the final score is going to be, but they're leading right now, 32-6.
The Delaware Valley Regional High School Doug Heater along with Jake Llewellyn. The State Liners 32-16 have locked this up as we go to 2:15 on the mat now. For the Terriers is senior Josh Worst. He is 16-5. And he takes on junior Ian Roncaroni, who is 15-3.
Roncaroni locked in a bear hug around the body of Worst. Worst is going to try to trip him out of it. There he takes him. Worst may pin Roncaroni with this. That's a variation of that salto we saw earlier. Roncaroni's going to fight off, I think. Worst leads 5-0 with a minute left in the first period. Roncaroni tried to take him in a bear hug. Worst had a double arm trap and put him on his own back.
Worst placed third in this year's John Gold's tournament. Lost to Roncaroni 5-3 in the 101 tournament quarterfinals.
Here we're going to see it. Watch him take the double arm trap. He's going to take him to his own shoulder. A little variation of the salto. He steps in front. Now let's see where he goes with it. No, he really didn't take it that way. He actually just hit it like a little bit of a lateral with a double arm trap.
Worst weighing in at 201.8. Del Val's heavyweight Scott Huff weighed in at 213.3. He'll take on Mike Peterson next. Beating Peterson earlier this season 4-0 in the semifinals of the 101 tournament. A tournament that Phillipsburg won as a team. Del Val placed second.
Phillipsburg wrestlers want to know what time we're going to be on TV tonight. I told them 9:30. There we see Coach Petro talking to his wrestler Josh Worst. Very tall 215-pounder. He's got to be about 6'4".
It's a long drink of water, right?
Yes, it is. A lot of leverage there. Roncaroni is not a small 215-pounder. The worst towers over him. Roncaroni tries to hit that inside switch and does. Gains a reversal.
The State Liners have won 7. Could actually be even with this at 7-7 and win 32-16.
A lot of close matches in this dual meet.
Are leading 32-16. They have 3 falls all in the first period that have to be the difference so far tonight.
Huge difference.
And I think the ones in the bottom by Buss and Bud at 19 and 25. Rismiller almost expected at 171, going up against Metz. Inexperience coming in at 0 and 2. But those first 2, actually the ones at 19 and 25, were huge.
Shows third period on the clock, but that's only the first period. Choice goes to Roncaroni. He defers. Worst is going to choose neutral.
Talked about that middle area between 130 and 135. Greg Troxel said we needed to win 1 of 6. They did. Said we need to sweep the first 4. They did, and gained 12 points out of that in 2 falls. That being the difference tonight.
Pretty good assessment by Coach Troxel.
Seaburg has Watchung Hills tomorrow night, and then the big test on Saturday against Paulsboro at the Pit. They get ready for sectionals and groups next week, as does Del Val. Both of these teams seated first in their section. Del Val second in the Group 2, Phillipsburg third. Depending on who comes out of what sectional, they'll probably be second behind the winner of Brick Memorial, Absegami, and Hunterdon Central if those teams survive their tournaments. Phillipsburg will be tested by Randolph in the sectionals next week. Del Val by Voorhees, coached by Rick Thompson, in what could possibly be his last year of coaching, not just at Voorhees, but maybe in high school, up to see where Rick surfaces. Not happy with the situation at Voorhees this season.
That's interesting.
Looking for a place to go.
You know, Randolph had triplets on their team. I didn't realize that till I read it later in the paper. They had 3 boys that were like around 112, 119, and 125, I think. I don't know their names. But I thought they all looked amazingly alike, and then I saw where they actually had 3 brothers, 3 triplets on the Randolph team. I got to know Rick Thompson when he was a sophomore at Peaburg High School. George Chilmonic and I wrestled together at East Stroudsburg. And George came here as an assistant coach with Jan Dutt and used to bring Ricky up to East Stroudsburg, and that's where I first met Rick. Rick Thompson was not only a great wrestler, he was an outstanding cross-country runner. Just a sign of his mental toughness. He could run and run and run. Who's the head football coach at Bethlehem Catholic, Doug?
Bob Stem.
Where was Bob Stem a coach before he coached at Bethlehem Catholic? I'm not going to let you look at your...
No, I know it. He was here at Phillipsburg.
Not here. This is Del Val.
Oh, sorry, at Peaburg.
Right.
But you...
I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to say, Stemmy was a 1958 state champion for the State Liners.
You're a step ahead of me.
I had that
Stem
ready.
Was a state champion for Phillipsburg High School. What year? 1958.
Yes, 1958 at 168 pounds.
There you go. Bob Stem was a New Jersey State wrestling champion, wrestling for Phillipsburg High School.
Actually, Bob Jorley, who was a head coach in the middle of the 2 Rick Thompson stints, was a state champion here in 1968.
At Peaburg.
Yes.
When Bob Stem was in 10th grade, Peaburg went to wrestle Bethlehem High School in Bethlehem. And he was caught and pinned by another sophomore from Bethlehem High School. What fan at home can tell us the name of the wrestler from Bethlehem that pinned Bob Stem in 1956 in a dual meet Bethlehem against Phillipsburg?
Can I answer that one?
Nope. Can't do it.
Can I write it down?
Yep, you can write it down. The wrestler that caught Bob Stem and pinned him went on to play football for Duffy Doherty. No, it wasn't me, Doug. The wrestler that caught Bob Stem and pinned him played football for 4 years at Michigan State. I think 3 of the 4 years that he played at Michigan State, they beat Notre Dame. Was an outstanding center at Liberty High School. And he only wrestled, I think, in his 10th grade year. I hope Bob Stem's not upset because this was one tough guy that pinned Bob Stem. So if anybody besides Bob Stem knows, we're going to give you 2 free tickets to districts. Anybody that come up with the answer. Who caught Bob Stem in a dual meet and pinned him at Bethlehem High School, 1956? And Bob Stem later went on to be a New Jersey State Wrestling Champion, 168 pounds.
Well, Worst leading 6-4 with under 30 seconds to go in the third period.
Roncaroni in deep on his shot, trying to score a takedown to tie it to force overtime. Worst blocking off with a crossface. And the strength of that early 5-point move, Josh Worst is going to beat Ian Roncaroni 6-4. That makes the team score Phillipsburg 32, Delaware Valley 19 as we go to the last bout of the dual meet.
Josh Worst reversing a loss to Roncaroni earlier this season, wins, and we go to 275. On the mat now for the Terriers is junior Scott Huff. He is 18-3, and he will take on a senior for Phillipsburg, Mike Peterson, who is 4-2.
So any fans that know the answer to the trivia question, send a postcard to TV2 Service Electric care at Doug Heater. First winning answer will get 2 free tickets to the District 11 tournament.
You picking that up?
Yep. On the house. I'm going to talk to Mr. Villani, Dominic Villani, see if I can get 2 free ducats. I think he might make me a deal.
Huff, a junior for the Terriers, defeated Peterson earlier this season 4-0. He was 9-9 last season for Del Val, placed second in the 101 tournament and third in the John Goles Classic.
What did you say Huff weighed in at, Doug?
213.3.
And then Mike Peterson's considerably larger.
Yes.
Peterson's got to be 260. Do you have the weigh-in sheet?
No. I'm never fully prepared.
Upwards of 250 pounds is Mike Peterson.
The Peaburg stranglehold on the Terriers continues.
Quite a good dual meet, though. I think it was a very entertaining meet for the fans here and for the fans at home. Good tune-up for Peaburg for the postseason.
From Del Val's 3 losses this season to Parkland in a match we saw on TV2 in the Easton Peaburg duels, South Plainfield, and Hunterdon Central. They will see none of those 3 in sectionals. South Plainfield Group 3 this year, but Kittatinny is ranked number 1 in Group 2, and they defeated Phillipsburg this season earlier in the year.
You know, we said in wrestling it's very difficult. You cannot really compare scores. In wrestling, it lends so much to how the matchups go, how your team matches up with an opponent. I got to say that Del Val certainly is a very well-balanced team. And it was just fortunate for Peaburg tonight that where they did match up, Peaburg was a little bit tougher. where Phillipsburg was good. They were just a little bit better than Del Val. But these two teams are really not that far apart. They're pretty close, and if they had matched up a little differently, Del Val could have had a possibly knocked off Phillipsburg here tonight.
Well, you talk about comparative scores. I mentioned Kittatinny defeated Phillipsburg this year. Kittatinny was beaten later in the season by Hunterdon and Central. Hunterdon and Central beat Del Val this year. Hunterdon and Central lost to Phillipsburg.
Yeah, you can never figure with
In fact, Central, like I mentioned earlier, has not beaten Phillipsburg since 1964 and may see them again for what I believe would be the third straight year in the group championships. Semifinals. Last year they met them in the finals. May see them in semis.
Peterson has a cradle on Huff. Earned 2 back points. Takes a 2-0 lead. There was no takedown in the first period. That's what makes wrestling such a great sport. You can never figure, as far as comparing scores, you never know. There's so many intangibles that you can't factor in. But it is so interesting. And then the other aspect is that things that could happen that you don't factor. Who gets caught, who rises to the occasion and has a huge victory. And here Huff has a tough position on Peterson. He has him pinned.
Did he ironically hit a Peterson roll on that?
It was semi-Peterson. He didn't have the inside leg, but he did have a leg similar to a Peterson roll.
The fall in 2:56 for Huff. Del Val's first fall tonight makes it 32-25. Each one 7, and we will take a look at the finish.
Certainly made it an interesting ending. Here you can see there's a power half on. He's trying to sit underneath him. He's going to catch him in. Just what you said, Doug, a Peterson roll. From that Peterson roll, he's going to pin Mike Peterson. That is an irony. Caught in your own roll and pinned. There's the fall.
32-25, State Liners take this one from the Terriers. Back with the wrap-up right after this on TV2 Sports.